Ultra and Odor, you are currently in the nest by yourselves. The other groups, the other pairs of Dragon and Rider have headed out to do different things. A couple hunting, others have gone off to train. At some point soon, now that you've had your first flight, you will be training together and also discovering the depths and reaches of your abilities. For now, though, there is still a little bit of time before that happens. You will, of course, still be training when you can, individually, and for Ardor, most likely, you'll either have to visit or go and find or be visited by a dragon who is part of a rider and dragon master team who can teach you about aerial combat. You know, some of this is instinctive, so it's it's not all learning and training, but some of it is it's good to be trained as well. Currently, there is not much for you to do. Ultra, you've been enjoying a nice, quiet little bit of time as Ardor has been outside in the forest, having a little bit of a wander, probably knocking down trees. However, you do hear the telltale sound of thunderous footsteps and crashing branches that tell you the only dragon that could be coming back to the nest right now is Ardor.
I'm definitely mid-meditation, because it's like one of those quiet moments where I'm like, I get my meditation, my routine in, and I do one last exhale as I hear Ardor getting closer and closer.
And by this point, I've kind of realized, I'm like, okay, she's meditating. So like, I need to be quiet. So the thunderous kind of slows down a little bit. And it's like someone trying to tiptoe, but completely failing, like clump, looking, one head kind of looking around, one getting closer to you and not tiptoeing, but trying my best to be quiet. But it's the loudest thing you've ever heard.
Yeah, and it's essentially like an attempt to sneak, but, and you know, like you crouch down, your head's kind of, you know, your tail does that swishing thing when a cat stalks its prey, and you're just like squeezing through trees. The trees like bending and creaking and groaning. Your footsteps are like measured, but you still have giant legs and giant feet, which just go poof.
Yeah.
And obviously this is what you hear Ultra inside.
I do my one last exhale. I stand up and go to the door. You don't have to sneak, Ardor.
But you're meditating, right? I gotta be quiet.
I just wrapped up because I heard you coming.
I wasn't quiet enough.
Well, it's kind of hard for you to be quiet. You're big. Like you just.
I guess. Yeah. Okay.
I would say, in terms of size, Ardor and Tourmaline are probably the largest. I would say Ardor very slightly outsizes Tourmaline because of the heads. However, in terms of pure bulk and height, Tourmaline has a little bit of an edge there. But they're similar currently. They both look like they're going to grow quite large.
Ardor, I was going to ask you.
Yes.
Do you have any interest in meditation?
It's kind of boring.
What goes on in all those heads of yours?
Everything. I can see everything all the time. I can look behind me. I can look in front of me. There are birds everywhere. There are things on the ground, like the rocks and bugs. And I can look at them all at the exact same time.
As Ardor's saying that, the two side heads are like, you know, looking around, and one of them's like distractedly sniffing at the ground, the other one's like staring off into the sky.
Do you want your brain to quiet ever?
Do you want my brain to quiet ever?
Well, I was just thinking when we get into training more, maybe it could help us both focus.
Well, I can try.
I meditate a lot, and I just sometimes. Do you remember when you were little and I would try to meditate and you kind of joined me for it? In a way.
Yeah, but I was always looking at other things. I just was sitting because you said.
Maybe I just need to change how I meditate. Maybe we could take a flight one day and I could try meditating when we're in the sky.
I would love that. Up in the sky, there's so many things to see.
I think that might be the perfect way to meditate.
And you like being in the sky.
It's everything I've ever wanted. I never thought I would get a chance to do this, that I get to see the sky from up close and I get to see the ground and all the little bits from up high. I never thought I'd get the chance to do that.
Everybody looks like ants when we're really high up there.
It does make you think about falling. Do you ever worry about falling?
I'm a dragon. I'm meant to be flying.
That reminds me, we might need to talk to Perry about getting a saddle, right?
Well, I can hold you on best as I can, but if you're meditating, that might be hard.
It's true. We will come up with the system. I'm sure Perry would have some ideas.
Do you want to try? I mean, I really liked flying. Are we allowed to fly? Should we be flying?
I look around and kind of scope out to see if there's any teachers around. Almost kind of hoping there's no teachers around.
When they're not helping to train or checking in on their training pods, they tend to live in the domiciles as to the side of the mountain. When you look up at the mountain from the ground where you are, there's lots of like kind of jutting out huts and houses, you know, kind of on stilts essentially, just on the side of a sheer mountain. When you see the teachers like heading up that way, they tend to land with their dragon, go inside. It's their house. It's once you finished your training and you start going out on missions, all four of you as a training pod will have a house each to yourselves, and they'll all be grouped together so that you can respond to missions and patrol and all that type of thing.
So I don't see anybody?
Currently, you do not see any teachers around, any trainers.
I think we could do a quick trip.
Okay, climb on.
Just no hesitation. I'm like climbing up on Ardor's back. I'm settling in. So if I cross my
there's
legs,
a head trying to like help you get into position, wing, tail. You're probably like surrounded by most of me to make sure you are comfortable.
I was going to ask, can we assume as we go on that when you jump on Ardor's back, it's with assistance of a head, you know, like almost like a hand, like helping you up into the...
Always.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got like I would like to think there's like a rhythm to it that we figured out almost immediately, and just, all right, just get up on your back. But this time I'm like trying to fold my legs in like a meditation crisscross. Okay, so if move your back to the side a little bit. And I want to see if I can hold my body in this meditative position without falling off.
Okay. All right. So, are you trying to do this as you take off and fly, or once you're in the air?
I think I'm gonna assume the position. I was thinking we were on the ground, but if
You are
I'm
still
just
on the ground currently, yes.
yeah, so if I'm just jostling around, kind of get my body center of gravity.
Okay.
Okay, I think once we're up there, maybe we just if you fly a little low, and we can try some things to see if I can hold myself up.
Okay, is there like a rope we want to tie you to a neck just to be safe? I know you're up here already, but like
You could probably keep one head on Ultra, and if she starts to topple or falls, you can grab her.
totally. Okay. I'll hold
It's a
on to
risky
you.
thing we're doing.
I mean, you're young.
It's a really risky thing, but I'm here for it.
So,
They have 3 heads. One can snip a.
Yeah, that's the perks of having 3 heads. One can just be like a safety net for me in case my meditation goes awry.
Ardor, you
Yes.
tense your muscles in your wings, tense your legs, and get ready to push up. When you take off, it is very much raw strength, as opposed to a couple of the other dragons who tend to go for speed and momentum, or using wind currents and a little bit of magic. And you push up into the air and flap, and the heavy flaps start to carry you up and carry you forward as you rise off the ground. Now, as you rise above the trees, your heads, one of them is keeping an eye on Ultra. The other 2 are mostly looking around to see if there's any teachers around. Could I please ask for you, Ardor, to roll me your power, and for you, Ultra, to roll me your control?
Okay. Just to check, my control is 3, so I roll a 4d10.
Your control is 3, so you roll 3d10.
3d10. Okay, sorry, I was just trying to.
And
I did the same thing. My power is 4, so I
you
rolled
roll
4.
4d10, yes. And let me just quickly check if any tags work here. So, Ultra, you have the tag Dragon Rider now. That will work, which will mean that your success gate will be a 5 instead of a 6. So you succeed on 5s or aboves.
Okay. Oh.
Which is good for
Okay.
you.
Yes.
And Ardor, your tags are sturdy, would actually apply here, which slow also maybe. However, as this one, you are attempting to not roll higher than your rider, because essentially the more power you provide, the more control Ultra is trying to give. So in this instance, the tags will cause the gate to go up. So you're not looking for successes here. If you'd have rolled 4 successes and Ultra had rolled 3 successes, Ultra would have probably fallen off. So your success gate with sturdy and slow would be 8, which means you get 1 success. You know, you're not going too quick, you're not going too powerful, and Ultra is able, with 3 successes from a 5 success gate, you are able to very easily stay in position. Now, the second thing. Could you, could you, Ardor, please roll me your power again? And this time, Ultra, could you please roll me your resolve?
Okay.
And neither of you will have altered success gates for this. You're essentially seeing if you can meditate while riding. So as the flapping continues, as the wind rushes past you, and as there's a little bit of wobbling and still learning to fly. You're not going too high either. Wow, that is 3 successes for Ardor and 2 successes for Ultra. I would say there's still a little bit too much speed and power there. It's hard to reach the state on the back of a dragon. As relaxing as it can be to be drifting high up in the sky, it's also something you're still getting used to. So you feel that kind of calm, empty-mindedness start to, where you essentially disconnect from the concerns of what's happening around you and start to take an inner inventory, compartmentalize things, consider life, the universe, and everything. Every time you try a wing flap, the movement of the muscles slightly destabilizing you, it's just not quite there yet.
I think I'm gonna have to practice this.
That means we're flying.
That is true. And as I'm trying to do the meditative thing, I look at it as like a challenge now to be like, someday we're gonna fly and I'll be able to, because I'm used to like meditating where it's quiet and the conditions are perfect. So from my background, this is like a challenge that's probably very worthy to pick up.
Yeah. And the meditation does also lean into the martial aspect. If you can get your mind in the right place, you can be very responsive and kind of almost work on autopilot when you're fighting. Not that the meditation is used for battle, but it can be. It can be very useful. So, could be interesting if you could meditate on the back of a dragon. However, having said that, you hear a big flap from nearby. It's not as close as it could have been, because Ardor, you've been keeping an eye out, so you do see quite quickly the descending shape of a 3-headed green dragon headed towards you.
Ultra, we got company.
Oh, that's and I'm gonna squint my eyes in the direction. That's my trainer.
That is your trainer. That is Rainer and his dragon Yorunda.
It's okay. That's just my my weapons trainer.
So we're not gonna get in trouble?
Well, I'm not sure if that's true, but maybe we should like slow down and have them catch up.
Well, they're catching up already. You're not that fast.
I can slow down. And we just kind of like leisurely, even more so, Sunday cruise down the road.
Yeah.
Sightseeing.
What I will say is, Yorunda, the green dragon, is probably a bit over twice your size. Very muscled, very big. Rainier also, as you remember, Ultra, is quite a large person.
I don't think have I seen his dragon and Ardor next to each other yet?
No, not next to each other.
Okay, so now this is the realization moment
Yeah.
of, oh, I think you're gonna get that big.
That's really big.
We're talking like house-sized, at least.
Yeah, I'm having to remind myself, like, oh, Ardor's not fully grown yet.
Yeah.
But then I quickly switched my gear, like the gears in my brain to, oh no, are we in trouble? That's my weapons teacher and we're flying. We just literally went flying without asking for permission first.
And as Rainier and Yorunda kind of match speeds with you and pull up alongside, Rainier just points at the ground.
I think we need to go down. I think we should land.
Landing. And without hesitation, but also not like nose diving for the ground, I'm gonna be like keeping a head on them and just doing the like, yep, we're in trouble. Just act cool.
So,
and go down to the ground and find a clearing where we can land.
Yeah, and that's reasonably easy. You've gone a little ways away from the main area, but you land down with a little bit of a thump. Interestingly, when Yorunda lands, there's no noise. It's just the flap of wings and the feet just touch gently on the ground.
I think if we just act like everything's fine, it'll be okay. I mean, we weren't doing anything wrong, so it should be fine.
We weren't doing anything wrong. It is perfectly fine. I'm a dragon. I'm meant to be in the sky.
And I'm meant to meditate, so...
And you're meant to be in the sky.
Yes.
And Rainier descends off Yorunda and kind of walks, bridges the gap, kind of walks into the middle between both of your dragons. He doesn't have his weapon on him, just FYI. You'd know because it's massive. And he kind of stands there waiting for you.
I think I have to meet him. So we'll get our system of me dismounting. Just like, I like to think that it's just super fluid. Like the mounting and dismounting is like down to a T. Yeah. And I get off and I brush my cloak down to get any wrinkles out and put my head up high and walk over. Lovely night we're having.
Rainier, like, lets that sit there for a second and then says, Ultraban, my one and only student currently.
Yes, I'd like to think best student as well.
Yes. I have come to tell you that I have a mission. It's going to take me north past the desert mountains. I'll be gone for a couple of weeks. Therefore, as I have been talking to Iliagar, I thought it would be a good time for me to tell you so that you could go and visit your home, something you have been desiring to do since you attained Ardor.
I can take Ardor back home?
For a short time. Before your training starts, we thought it was a good time for you to do so.
You don't need help with the mission, right?
No. He does actually smile at that, but it's the first time you made him smile. The idea of like a fledgling rider and dragon being able to help. Sorry.
Also,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like when I saw how excited you got, you started to hear like the pitter patter, like dog dancing, but like really loud stomp, pom 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 in the background.
There's like a low kind of growl from the green dragon behind Rainier that sets like the hackles on the back of all your necks up. It's like an instinctive kind of, you know, like visceral reaction, like animal reaction where you're like, oh, threats, oh no. Just kind of like know your place, excitable little red one.
I will gather my things and we will head back home. I wanted everyone to meet Ardor.
Very well. Enjoy your time with your people. When both you and I get back, maybe we will teach Ardor to defeat a tree.
That sounds wonderful.
I look forward to training you more, student.
Thank you. I'm gonna excitedly rush to our door. We have to go back.
Okay. But also, hasn't teacher seen me destroy other trees before?
Oh, did I not tell you about what I had to do the first time?
No. You can tell me while we go home.
Yes. And then I start,
What's next?
yeah, I'd climb up on to your back again. So I had to defeat a tree, and I start telling the story of my first training session as we head back to the nest.
The story of how Ultraban defeated a tree and was very confused at the same time.
But I did it. So.
I would say even to this day, you're not 100% sure if you did it or not. You know, like, I'm not sure how much that lesson settled in with Ultra.
I think it's still, everything's so fresh, and she's even realizing, like, oh my gosh, I'm too excitable about, you know, like, she's feeding off the energy of Ardor and just feeling this freedom and excitement of this new stage in life. And there's a little bit of worry about going back home just because I haven't been as diligent about my meditations, and just, you know, wants to make the group proud, but also is very excited about what she's doing right now.
Yeah.
Would I sense that? Like, would I sense that hesitation or nervousness?
I would say you would sense a sliver of it. I'm not sure you'd understand it.
Okay.
The comprehension doesn't come with the emotion. It's more just so it could be, you know, like a little bit nervous about having to talk to a teacher, for example.
Right.
As time goes on and the meld goes on over years and, you know, etc., it does refine and, you know. So. Shall we fade out on this and fade back to, I would say, probably early afternoon flying over towards the village of Sagacia. Now, things are different in the air because you are used to taking roads. And you, young lady, have not been around very long and have not done much flying. So, what I will require of you is a power roll from Ardor, and a resolve roll from Ultra.
Okay.
Ardor, because you have the tags sturdy, your success gate is a 5. Because this is about stamina.
Right.
And you can fly for quite a while. So, the trip itself takes a couple of hours. So for Ardor, you do very well. Not tired, it's pretty easy, it's very natural. For you, Ultra, you're a little bit lost. 2 successes. But through a little perseverance and maybe a couple of times after you move into the more snowy areas, like you take a little turn here, you ask Ardor to maybe do a circle around for a little bit so you can try and get your bearings. You manage to find the village, tucked away in the hills, being snowed on, which probably means that you will have to descend a fair bit because there'll be snowy clouds. For a while you can fly above the clouds if you like, but you need to see where you're going to, so.
just curiosity wise, would I know what snow is? Is that something that would be like a...
I would imagine through your bonding with Ultra, it's been mentioned.
Okay.
This is probably the first time you've seen it, though. So.
Noted.
As you descend down towards the village, you see a gathering of people. A little semicircle, kind of out towards the front of the village, or coming down towards the front of the village, waiting expectantly. One of the things you're starting to realize is that riding a dragon anywhere tends to attract some attention. Descending from the heavens, essentially, with a giant, red, excitable puppy dog dragon is something that tends to catch people's attention. And so, as you land just outside the front of the village, landing in the snow, quite cold, by the way. For dragons, the cold doesn't really affect them too much. It's a little uncomfortable. You're not a massive fan of the cold, you've realized, but it has no adverse effect. You are a dragon. And from the semicircle, 3 slightly shorter, slightly more wizened figures step out. You can see Elder Silka among them, and the 2 other elders, Broadwin and Kizden, have come out as well. They seem a little bit, not hesitant, but maybe cautious is more of a word. They seem a little bit on guard, not because you've come back, but because a dragon has essentially landed in their front yard.
Okay, we got here.
I don't like this cold stuff on my feet.
Oh, this is snow.
The heads kind of look down. One like pats it with its nose. Can I let steam out? No smoke, but can I let steam out around my feet?
I would say it's not really steam per se. It's much more like a hot blast of air, but absolutely yes.
Oh, that's better. Okay.
Try taking a bite.
Just like part of the foot goes in one of the heads.
It's really cold.
But it melts in your mouth. We used to make snowballs when I was a kid, and I would eat the snow.
Tastes like water. Tastes like water.
It's kind of special, though, isn't it?
It's different.
You'll get used to it. You have to meet some people I've never seen. There's so much, and you could tell that Ultra's just like overwhelmed by everything. Just like, I got to see from above. Oh, I've never seen the area from up there before. And then a Silka, and I'm looking for Silka.
In the group of essentially 3 from the little semicircle, they're all there. They're all standing, kind of like waiting to meet an important guest style seriousness. But as you like call over the top of one of the heads, which is swinging around looking at random stuff, you catch Silka's eye as you call her name, and she, like, her eyes crinkle a little bit, a little hand comes out, and she like waves slightly like that.
Everyone, I want you to meet someone special. I'll stand in front of our door. We've been granted some time to come see you all, and this is my dragon, Ardor.
And I see that you get rather like proud and excited, and like the middle head is like, look at me, like, look at how pretty I am. One's completely looking the other way. The other one's just kind of doing the lazy, but the main one is just like, hi.
And they all the elders like go down on one knee in the snow, and all the villagers as well like follow suit, and you hear Elder Silka say, "Hail and welcome, Dragon Rider, ascendant being in the sky. Welcome to our village. Please, our hospitality is yours. Please, we invite you to dine at our table."
I'm not used to this because
Yeah.
it's very different.
A little strange, a bit of a homecoming.
So I stand up a little straighter. Thank you. I've missed you all, and I'm happy to return. And that a dragon has picked me. I want to tell you all about what it's like flying. And you can tell that as I'm looking around, just what do I say? I've never been in a position like this. It's a pretty quiet community, so please. And then I'll gesture for them to stand up.
And Elder Silka stands up and shuffles towards you a little bit slowly. Takes your hands and says, "You need to say that you will dine with us and accept the hospitality, dear."
I will dine with you, as will Ardor, and accept your hospitality.
And they all stand up and smile and then kind of like, not surge, but move slowly towards you and envelop Ardor, kind of like interested and, you know, a little bit tentative with Ardor. Like there's a couple of children who kind of go for a little bit of a duk 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 on your side. There's a very subdued conversation and everyone's quite calm. Everyone's very serene.
To the kid that tapped me, I probably would bring one of the heads from behind and tap the kid on the shoulder.
There you go with like a little forked tongue out and then just like a little lick on the back of the head, like
like you're gonna do it to me, I'm gonna do it to you.
And he kind of like giggles a little bit and then runs around and hides behind one of his like slightly taller siblings. And Silka says, Can your dragon speak? Can they understand us?
I can understand you.
And so for you, Ultra, it comes out as that. For everyone else, it's like everyone like pauses for a second, freezes, as like so for you haven't been around people who aren't dragon riders for quite a while. Dragons can understand the common language, but they don't have the ability to speak it. Essentially, part of the meld is allowing understanding between dragons and dragon riders.
Well, I can understand Ardor, or Ardor can understand you, but you can't understand Ardor, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, and I had a feeling after that may have been the case.
I think Ardor would love to be regaled with any stories, though, or if you want to ask Ardor a question, I can answer.
Our thought was that we would feed you for the evening meal, and then if you would like, yourself and Ardor could come and join us as we regale the children with one of our tales. It is the creation myth.
Oh, that's one of my favorites. Ardor, you're in for a treat.
Oh, a treat?
Well, food, yes, but treat as in, I guess, a delight in life versus food.
Oh, like flying.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a story that feels like flying.
I love it. Let's go.
So, you are taken into the village. There's a large kind of canopied area with tables and things. Fires lit. Nice and kind of, roaring kind of tall fire that's off to the side of the tables. Everyone sits down. The conversation, Ardor yourself, will probably have to be a little bit of ways with their own little cleared area of ground. But the conversation is very calm, very pleasant, and very, I want to say, philosophical or intellectual. It's that people aren't talking about, oh, did you hear that Brenda down the road walked off with John? Ooh! It's much more considerate. It's much more talking about how people are getting on with their projects and what someone realized when they saw a drop of rain come off the edge of a leaf, that type of thing. It probably, most of it is white noise to Ardor, which is just like, what are you talking about? This is weird. Why aren't you talking about chasing bunny rabbits and also jumping onto trees and stuff? That's interesting things. I saw a bee yesterday. Why don't we talk about that? However, after dinner, you are brought a nice kind of like, it's things you can eat. It's not your chosen food because they've essentially caught animals. They have vegetables, they have fruits and all those type of things. But they're all prepared. Dragons don't really like prepared food. It's okay, it's nutritious, but it's essentially been changed so much that the essential life energy that they need to exist doesn't really come with the food. But it's perfectly manageable as long as you don't do it every day. Something that Cassandra found out after a while. But that's fine, because now you guys hunt for... You guys hunted for her, and now, obviously, Argent can hunt for himself as well. After dinner, all the kids gather around the fire, and you are both invited to come and join. It's properly nighttime now. If you want, you can head back in the evening, through the night. It only takes a few hours to get back. But for now, Elder Silka sits down with her back to the fire. It's died down quite a bit. It's not the roaring that it used to be. And she looks around the children, and then she looks at Ultra, and she looks at Ardor, and she says, "What I am going to tell you now, children and guests, esteemed guests, is the story for our people of creation, of our state of being, and why we live here and why we do things that we do. At the start of all things, they began how all things start, with a thought. Only a thought can manifest into something tangible. Without a thought, nothing can be created. And without thought, creation is dangerous. The only thing a thoughtless creation can do is create disaster. Therefore, it follows that a being of immense thought, and only a being of immense thought, could have created such an immense thing as existence and life. Such a being exists because there is no possibility that it does not. Considering this, should we then give praise and worship to this all-powerful creator? course not. If the creator is that powerful and wanted praise, it could gain praise. Therefore, we are thankful for its thought, and we live our lives how we feel we should. And thus were the dictates of the Cassorians founded. We owe none allegiance, but those with the will to claim it. We live as dictated by ourselves, and we take the lessons from things also created. Everything created has learned their strengths and their weaknesses, and so we can imitate. We can take and we can learn from them and grow stronger from their examples. This helped the Cassorians grow strong, and it gave them pride. It gave them strength. Strength enough to take from those they wanted to gather new followers, and they adapted the attitude and savagery and ferocity of the large feral birds in the desert and beyond the north. But we, the Titan clan, chose a different path in the end. Seeing the brutality and the arrogance of the Cassorians we were once a part of, we split from them, and we chose wisdom. We chose to isolate ourselves away from those who don't understand us, who fear us, and in turn, avoid us. We can take strength without causing suffering on those weaker than us, on those not wise enough to understand that being able to see and adapt is the best way. That following the grandiose majesty of the owl is but one step closer to the perfection desired and to divinity. And most importantly, we do not demand that others follow our ways because it is better. All we need to do is explain how they are incorrect, and in the end, they will understand that we are and have always been correct. Now, run along, children, to bed and have a nice sleep. And in the morning, we will go out into the forest and gather that which we deserve. And as the fire starts to dim, we fade away from the scene. It's a couple of days since your first flight. The rest of the training pod are currently out and doing other things. A note was left by Ultra to let you know that she's headed home for maybe a day or so, back soon. Perry, you are at your desk enjoying the little respite from the rest of the pod. Not that you desperately want to escape them, but a couple of hours left to your own devices is kind of nice sometimes, especially with the larger and more excitable dragons that sometimes run around. Currently, you are working on a logic puzzle. Keep your brain in shape, keep your hands are tinkering and dexterous, and work out the mind, work out the body kind of thing. It's giving you a little bit of difficulty. Most of the rings are now free. There are a couple left that you're just trying to figure out how to disengage. Tourmaline, you are there as well, sitting I would say probably in your little alcove, with your, like you're in your room, but with your head like poking out the side. Perry's desk is quite near, and your head's just kind of like looking over him occasionally. Even though he's not exactly using tools most of the time, he will pass something up and you'll just grip it in your mouth. So the first thing I will ask is, would both of you please roll me a resolve? I don't believe either of you have any tags that will benefit you here.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so Tourmaline, you got 3 successes, and Perry, you got 2. So what I will say is, Tourmaline, as you sit there observing Perry having a bit of difficulty, he's starting to get there, he's starting to figure it out. You've already figured it out. You know exactly what he needs to move, where, and how. It's down to you whether you voice that or,
Tormalina will walk out of the alcove and kind of sit behind Perry now, like a dog would, just kind of
Like a
sitting
12-foot
directly
dog.
behind you. Yeah, like Clifford the big red dog, sitting behind you, kind of thing, and just I will not say anything because
Okay.
Perry likes these kinds of things, and I want him to get the satisfaction. I will only say something if I notice that he's getting very frustrated.
I would say he's getting there. He's figuring it out. He did decently, so another 5-10 minutes, maybe.
Are you enjoying this puzzle, Perry?
Yes. I was just trying to get the last ring out of the other ring, and sometimes I put the other one back on and it comes off just fine, but this one is... I keep ordering more of these from home and they keep sending them. I think they're running out of difficulty, but I hope this isn't the last one they send.
I'm sure there will be more,
Mm.
right?
I mean, if I design them myself, it kind of defeats the purpose, because then I would know how to solve it, right? You know? Not a lot of them make these. If I twist... No. Okay. I don't want to break it. I mean, I could take it apart. That would be no problem, but... Wiggles here at the joint, and then I see there's a slot there, and... No, never mind. Can you hold this? Hey.
I take it in my mouth.
Yeah.
If anyone can solve it, it's you, Perry.
What?
Spits it out on the
You
ground,
hear like
and
a
you
clunk
hear it.
on the ground.
Oh, that was... Actually, that wasn't that
anyone-
fragile.
Can figure this out, it's you, Perry.
Well, you have a lot of confidence in me.
And then I go down and I pick up the thing I spit out and put it back in my mouth.
And I would say a little bit of twisting, a little bit of maneuvering, and you see the solution suddenly come to light. As you always do with these type of things, whether it's something you're making or something even you're inventing, you always figure out how to make it work, how to fix
Fair.
it, how to solve it.
I had to go slower. That was the problem. Too fast. It was moving past where the exit point was. Okay, there we go. I'll take that back.
Ugh.
And then spits it back into your hand.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh. Gotta work on you being able to mouth these without putting all the saliva over it. Kind of caustic, you know?
Have I been getting teeth marks on the
No,
tools?
no, it's the teeth. It's the saliva. It's not that bad if you don't hold it very long, but I've noticed some of my spanners getting a little melted.
I will try to drool much less.
It's fine. It's your biology. You're okay. It's just more the maybe if you probably your fangs and he turns around and kind of starts examining your teeth. Like your fangs are drier than I'd expect, which maybe there's a coating on it that because I think it's and kind of opens your jaw a bit more, which is probably twice the size of his own head at this point.
Oh,
just
yeah.
looking in. You could, if you're able to gently see the main fangs there and the little incisor. You could potentially and he puts with his hands if you're able to hold something right here, it might not damage it.
You do feel kind of hot puffs of air. They're not scalding or anything, but they are like putting your hand near a radiator, that kind of emanating warmth.
Yeah, he's kind of used to forges and things, so
Yeah.
if anything, it probably makes him feel a little more comfortable.
I was also going to say, I imagine that Tourmaline is very used to this inquisitive, just natural kind of oh, we're talking about, let's look at your teeth, let's figure things out, let's approach it from this direction. And Tourmaline's just chill.
Oh yeah, just you go to push the gums around you are, it just immediately just relaxes the jaw and is just willing to let you figure out how I should hold a tool so I don't get my caustic drool on it.
Okay, and so let's try. And then he holds up one of his who knows what he's been tinkering with again, and hold it right here if you can, lightly but hard enough to not bite down. I wonder if we could get. And he's hands it to you anyway, and then grabs some pieces of leather and I wonder if we could get a glove but for your mouth. Maybe.
And as I try to grab it, it's very ginger,
Yeah.
mouth open, just trying to gently close the center teeth on this tool that you're handing, or that you handed to me, and so I'm trying to quickly grab in my mouth gently while
Which
you
kind
make
of
a leather glove.
absent-mindedly. Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't actually. He's starts putting leather pieces around and kind of gives up on it and starts tinkering with something else.
Which, of course, as we know, holding it like that means that your mouth is open and you don't have a closed mouth, which causes you to salivate more. Which means after maybe 2 minutes, while Perry's distracted and doing things and working on it, there's just a big pool of slightly caustic drool on the floor next to him, which is dripped out.
Just hear sizzling every now and then.
It's a little bit of a.
But is the tool okay?
Oh, the tool's fine, yeah, because it's coming out the sides.
Just kind of looks over, looks at the puddle. I have to think about that one. I wonder if we could bottle that. Grabs a couple of vials.
Maybe some type of gutter system.
Well, grabs a couple of his vials that he just has some of rudimentary glass that he doesn't care too much about, and here, and then just tilts your head to the side so the drool goes a different spot, puts the glass under it, sees how it just watches and sees if the glass starts to melt or if it holds it okay.
Starts to blacken slightly after maybe 2-3 minutes. It's clearly being corroded. You'd probably have to treat it with something to
Retreater cast iron, because that could work for my bolts, maybe. And it's just starts grabbing some other materials, some raw iron that he's got out, probably taken from some of the forges that he's been kind of working at, but kind of not. Just he doesn't really have a good way of settling down in one spot.
One important part about this area is it's mostly uninhabited by, let's call them sentient beings. So there are mountains around here that just have open face ore veins and places. So you could very much have gone on an excursion with Tourmaline, and Tourmaline could have ripped up some loose ore and that type of thing.
Oh yeah,
reasonably
100%. Now, granted, we've been flying 2 days.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been surprised day after be like, let's go to the mountains. Just try to get materials like almost immediately.
Well, even when Tourmaline was a bit smaller and younger, you could have still traveled on Dragonback and essentially, you know, a few hours would have taken you up into the foothills of the mountains.
Oh, right, just like a walking rather than flying. Yeah,
very doable.
Yeah.
Maybe
Because I think you mentioned there was a workshop before, and Perry would probably go by there daily, if anything, grabbing random materials, supplies, occasionally dropping off, or doing that far more than hunting.
Yeah, it is very haphazard, and it is very much like you take something, you leave something kind of attitude. So people, Dragon Riders who are more geared towards the crafting and the making of things will leave random things. You know, like if you see something interesting, you pick it up, you take it with you, and maybe another day when you're out looking for stuff, you drop something off yourself.
So then probably not right now, because he's not in the workshop, but he's already started jotting down some tools for some sort of caustic saliva collection system from Tourmaline. And
I'm gonna gently put down the tool next to you.
Oh, thank you. And he picks it up and starts using it almost immediately without thinking about it.
Have you rested today, Perry?
Where's the sun? And looks around inside.
What time of day is it? Would I know?
It's probably early, going on mid-afternoon. So, he did sleep, but he does often get up with good ideas at ridiculous in the morning, and you can hear him clanking and scurrying about outside your section of the house. So
It is about lunchtime.
Oh. Did I have breakfast?
I don't believe you did.
Starts thinking, probably hear his stomach growl slightly as he thinks of the food. We should probably eat, huh? Are you hungry? I'm so sorry.
I am okay, but I could eat.
Okay. Maybe we should. And starts kind of collecting a few of his things and clips tools back on his shoulder belt. He's got basically just 4 tools. Yeah, we should eat. We should eat. You need to. Well, I could grab something. Do you need to go hunting? You don't really do that that much, do you?
as you're having a little discussion, the flap in the nest opens, and Iliagar walks in. Scars down his face as ever.
Hello, teacher.
Perry. Tourmaline, greetings. I was hoping that I'd find you here, actually. I have a lesson to impart for you.
Oh. Okay, well, we were about to get lunch.
Good. Well, after we have done this, you can eat.
Okay.
It will require a quick flight.
Okay.
A vendor is waiting for me outside. If you'd like to join me when you're ready, we will leave.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and starts tidying.
Yeah.
Which is basically just Perry shoving some things away, so there's some space in the middle for whatever next project he thinks of.
Yeah.
Do I need? And he grabs his wrist crossbow.
No fighting will be necessary. You merely need your points.
All right. Good. I didn't really want to do that anyway. Okay.
I get up and I'm just slowly, too slow probably for a dragon, just very much starts meandering outside. So I have a head start on Perry, but Perry could very easily catch up to me.
Yeah.
If he's jogging, yes. If he's walking, probably same pace. Doing his tiny little legs.
So, as you get outside, you see a vendor. Big, purple. Still comparative to Tourmaline, who is probably the tallest. Not quite the biggest, because when you take into account the heads of Ardor, it kind of, a little bit skewed. But Tourmaline is the tallest, the kind of heightiest, as it were. Still, compared to a vendor is probably more than double the size of Tourmaline still. So, again, when you have interactions with the masters and their dragons, you realize that while your dragon is big, they still have a ways to grow. And probably in the conversations you've had with other pod trainees and other riders, they can grow to reasonably epic proportions at times, dependent. Some of them, only grow to the size of a house. Some of them a lot bigger. So,
Perfect.
you follow Iliagar and Avenda as the wing flaps of Avenda kind of like buffet both of you a little bit. Very strong, very powerful, and
Definitely fall down on my butt. There's no way I stand up against that.
that's fair. And you jump on the back of Tourmaline. You still have work to do. You are going to be making everyone's saddles, most likely, so that's going to be a fun little adventure. For now, though, Tourmaline, you push off from the ground. You start flapping your wings, and the power pulls you up into the air, and you start following Avenda and Iligar. Headed up above the trees, not quite up into the clouds, but a decent height up. You follow the larger dragon, who seems to be setting a pretty relaxed pace. As you go to the south and a little bit to the west, towards the Iron Spine range of mountains, you pass over very thick forest. Essentially, these are the morsel grounds. This is where dragons go to hunt, dragons go to get their foods, and you move past it as it slowly, the trees start to sparsen out, and the ground starts to look a lot less solid, as there's sometimes you see the sunlight reflecting off it, and you realize that you're moving into the marshland area near the base of the mountains. Currently it is summer. In the winter, these are known as the Frozen Marshes, because they freeze, the top of them freeze over, and all the things that live underneath exist down there for winter. You travel for quite a long while as the trees get even more sparse, and the amount of land you see gets more and more sparse. The marsh, the water becomes very present all over, until eventually you see Avenda start to decline and head down to a position where, in the midst of a very open section of water, near some hills, near a few patches of ground, like a lot further away, you see a sparse, very tall, very thick tree by itself in the middle of the water.
Living tree?
It doesn't appear to have any leaves. You can't tell whether it's living or not, but it looks like a dead tree.
Gotcha.
And Avenda sets down on a bank of land in the middle of the swamp, large enough to house a dragon or two. You yourselves set down, step off, and Perry, as you step off, Iliagar walks up to you and says, "So, this is your challenge. This is your test. The tree. For both of you, my students, I have a task for you." And he goes into his jacket and pulls out a kind of leather strapped string, which has a tooth on it. Looks like quite a small dragon tooth. And then a claw, which looks like a small dragon claw. And puts it into your hands, Perry.
I mean, dragon?
Yes. And he gestures in the direction of the tree, isolated in the middle of the water, and says, "The Kendar tree. Your task is to put the tooth and the claw on the highest branches of the Alkendar tree."
Oh.
Now I will tell you the rules. You cannot get wet. Tourmaline, you may not fly. And I don't want to see you riding Tourmaline. Now, you will start your task on this island. Myself and Avenda will go and alight on that hill up there to observe you. I wish you luck.
Oh, thank you, teacher. Already was thinking of solutions or attempts and kind of spacing out for a while there.
If dragons can smile, Tourmaline is like smiling.
Yeah.
Just
No, I can't get wet. I cannot ride.
And
Cannot fly.
Avenda kind of like thumps up towards you, like deep, heavy footsteps, leans down and says,
Do not cheat. I will know if you cheat.
I thought the first thing I thought was crossbow right up to the top, but I left that back there. So
Good luck, little Perry.
thank you, big dragon.
And good luck, little Tourmaline.
Thank you.
and Avenda spins around. The tail kind of like skims across the top of the swamp water, and Avenda kind of jumps himself onto Tourmaline. Onto Avenda's back, and the wing flaps again like, woof, and they take off into the sky very quickly and alight down upon a hill, not too far away. I would say the distance from here to the tree is probably the closest you'll get to solid ground that isn't just water. It's about 200 meters away. So, Perry, you have a
I
task.
sit down. I pull out some parchment, and I pull out some charcoal. I've been kind of whittling the charcoal with, just basically like making a basic pencil. It's just easier, and that way I don't get my hands all smudgy, and it just gets annoying when they do. So anyway, I've been talking to myself as I do that right now.
Perry,
Yes.
let us look at the tree.
Oh, okay. Like turns and looks at a tree 200 meters away, but
It is very far away.
yes,
We have
I
to
can't get wet.
We both cannot get wet. Is that correct?
Oh, is it you can't either? Oh, okay, that makes it a little more calm. Okay, no,
The,
that's good.
The rules are Perry cannot get wet, Tourmaline cannot fly, and he doesn't want to see you riding Tourmaline.
I could throw you.
What now, I don't have any way to not die if you throw me 200 meters, Tourmaline.
I could throw you gently.
At 200 meters gently, still death. And if you throw me gently, not that far, I fall in the water and then we lose. But, no, I have some ideas. I have some ideas here. And I like motion Tourmaline to like look over my shoulder. As I'm right. Okay, so we haven't done any of this yet. But I remember teacher said brown dragons, what they do is they can convert materials into different shapes and forms, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So water, he points out the body of water. You could do a couple of things with that potentially. You could freeze it, make it solid, or you can make it gas and make it go away. I don't know if you're big enough to make it all go away though, but I was thinking maybe that would be cool.
I could throw you and make a cloud that catches you.
You can make heavy clouds? I think that would make me wet though. I think that would get the condensation.
True, maybe I should not throw you.
Maybe let's pull away from the throwing idea. Yeah, because I'm small and that would hurt. But what if okay, how big? Let's test this. And I get up and like jog over to the edge of the water. How thick can you make this ice?
Let me try.
I'm gonna plod over to it, kind of put my nose in it and just kind of push it around a little bit. To be like, okay, it's water, because I'm allowed to touch the water.
Yep. Is there a moment where it's like nudge, and then like look up? Like, is that against the rules?
Yeah, it would be almost like I look up at the hill. I'm like, nobody seems upset up there, so I feel okay about
You're
that.
fine.
I've never done this before, Perry.
Yeah, I think I want to say DJ Illigar said that I help. Kind of. Like I can direct and channel it, maybe. I don't have any idea how to do that. I can't ride you, but I can. And like I place a hand like on like probably your, I was gonna say upper arm. That's no way. But like your lower arm. And like I don't.
The shank.
Yeah. It's like, do you know how to? I know you could breathe fire, but I don't think that affects the water. You could evaporate it. It's just.
Let me try.
Oh, okay.
And I will stare at this water, and I will set an intention, because Perry wanted ice, to make a nice ice walkway with a staircase to the top of the tree.
Okay.
But I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm also just setting that intention, and I'm trying to be very serious about it and focusing all my energy, feeling Perry's hand on me and just trying to channel that.
Like as you're thinking that, like you hear Perry kind of like do the gasp of an idea, but then he quells it because he notices you're still trying to do something. So he's waiting for you to finish.
Tourmaline, please roll me your power.
Oh, okay.
So, as a dragon, you have the tag of magically gifted, which means that lowers your success gate from a 6 to a 5. So 5s or above are successes, which means that you rolled 3 successes. Now, you set the intention to help Perry which means, Perry, you feel a welling of power and like this. The best way to describe it is almost like a high of, like you've been breathing too fast and the oxygen's gone to your head. There's like a glow in your chest, which is kind of manifest within you. It's not yours, but it's something you can bend. It's something you can control. It's something you can bring into being. The problem is that as it builds and as it forms, it also sets off in its own direction. And it loses that ability to be made form. So what happens is the power wells and builds until your eyeballs feel the pressure behind your head, and your head is kind of like, you feel that pressure there, and it just poof, and this very large spike of ice just goes whoosh, out of the water, and on the tip of it is just a fish going like flap 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 flap. What I can tell you, both of you, is that there was no control in that manifestation, and also I'll tell you that was more power than you think you could handle, Perry.
Probably like breathing hard and like takes a knee for a second to kind of recompose himself and oh.
I made ice, Perry.
Yeah, my head felt like it was about to explode.
Your head. I felt alive. Are you
Good.
okay?
I'm getting there. Ugh. Okay.
Perry, look. Look at the ice.
No, that's exciting. That's good. I'm glad I wasn't standing near it, because then I would be in two pieces.
What I
good.
will say, Tourmaline, is you had no control over how that manifested. Like, it didn't do a single thing you wanted it to. It just kind of unstable power is the best way I can describe that.
So riding the high of I made ice and then
Yeah.
realizing that was not at all what I intended to do.
I tried, Perry, to make
No,
a
it's good.
walkway.
That's all right. I didn't feel like I helped at all, which might, I think, may have been the problem. That may have been the problem. But I had a different idea that might be smaller scale.
Okay.
Okay, smaller scale. But I want to test something. I look behind me for a tree, not in the middle of the swamp, but roughly the same size.
So there are no trees the same size. This is extremely tall.
Okay.
But
Thickness or age, hardiness. He's looking
Yes.
for a solid tree.
you can find one nearby. It's back the way you came from in the other direction, but yeah, there are trees like that.
Okay. Tourmaline, can you try something for me? And like I look back and point at one of those really the thickest tree I can find.
Yeah.
Are you able to climb that?
I will try.
Just like loud thumping steps. The
You-
most
you,
like the
wallow
speed
into
that
the water.
yeah.
Essentially what you get is something you've never seen before. A dragon doggy paddling. With its head, like, the neck, like, up above the water, and the tail, like, swishing back and forward. And it's just like a sploosh, 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 sploosh.
Make
And-
my way towards the tree.
you make your way towards the tree and get up onto the land, and essentially this tree is in front of you.
So
Okay, he
Perry
just
wa-
yells, "Climb it, if you can. I want to see the stability in your abilities."
I shake off like a wet dog,
Mm.
even though there's just a spray of water.
Yeah.
And I look over and you see my tail wagging, I guess, just kind of like, this is the most excited you've seen Tourmaline. So I immediately go to the tree and I'm going to just start trying to climb this thing.
Okay. You like raise your claws, dig them into the side of the tree, and then kind of put your weight on it to pull yourself up, and the tree just snaps, and it falls, it like, and you're there on top of the tree now with your like front claws on the front of.
I look over at Perry.
I broke it, Perry.
Okay, come back.
You get back into the water.
Sploosh, 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 sploosh. What I will say is that time will be passing as you throw through other ideas. What I would like to highlight for a second is the process with which you approach the problem is essentially, how do I solve this?
Harry had another idea.
Okay.
That was only part 1.
Oh, okay. Carry on.
So whenever Tourmaline gets back,
Yeah.
okay, so you can't climb trees because you're too big, and that's okay. I wanted to test it to see if, I can't pick you up, so I wanted to see how heavy, if it was like a bird with hollow bones or anything like that, so if you could climb or not. It's okay. Good. Test 1 done. My thought was, we have to get to, and he looks at the tree out. Is the tree the not dead tree that we need to get the teeth on? Is that on its own island, or is it out of the water directly?
Out of the water directly.
Got it. Okay. Are there any low branches as he's like squinting at it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has essentially a like almost charcoal black base that slowly turns into like silvered wood and then into white bone as the branches start to come out of it, and yeah.
Okay. So we know you can swim. Climbing's probably out of the question. Even for that, maybe for that tree, but I think if we broke that, they'd be pretty mad. But I was thinking, what if? And he kind of points back to the water. If you made a disc of ice, not as much, just a disc, I can stand on it, and you can push it to the tree. And I can get on a branch, and then you could make a way up, like stairs or something, because we don't have to go as far, and that would reduce the amount that we have to deal with in that sense. But first, we should probably, and points at the spike, probably melt that. No, not yet, because that could splash and get me wet. Never mind. But if we did that, we can get to the tree. I can get on a branch, and they never said I couldn't ride you, but they never said I couldn't be.
I can carry you.
Exactly. I can't ride you, but you could carry me in a different way. I have another idea. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Like, he looks real excited all of a sudden. Disc, ice, okay? You saw what you did with that spike? Yes, okay, I'm gonna get on you'll make a disc, I'll get on that, you'll push me over, and then you're going to use the water to push me up. And then I'll be at the top, and I can put the teeth on the top, and then we can bring me back down.
I look nervously from the spike I made to Perry, to the spike I made to Perry.
Maybe we could make a disc, but I worry you will end up like that fish.
I trust you. I'll help as a guy. I'll help I don't know, visualize. Was that the problem? Were you able to visualize the path? Or
I
did
was
you just
thinking it, and it just didn't come out.
Okay, well maybe because I felt the power coming into me. Maybe if I help visualize it while you're trying to make it happen, we can test with the disc. If we can do that, then we can make the other thing happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get on the shore again and just assume the position and do what we did before and just...
Yeah.
Okay.
I put my hand on Tourmaline again, and this time I'm like really trying to think like, okay, disc of ice, 2 meters wide in diameter. That way I have plenty of room, so if there's a slip, I can hold on and he looks and like looking around and like looks for like a rock or something nearby him, and just kind of grab. Can you have you ever done that? He like holds it up to you and like, can you bite through rock? You've gotten me ore before and with your claws, but can you bite through it?
I just automatically reach for it and try to like bite into it and crack it in half.
Like dust
Okay.
and bits and...
Good test. He like goes and like grabs another like bigger rock if he can. Can you make a spike out of this?
I will try.
Just
You
a
and I
point.
think of the same thing.
Yeah. I just want something I can hold on to and plant into the ice, so so I can not slide around if there's a problem, so I don't get wet.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Out of character, I can manipulate things. I don't know that I can turn a rock into a spike. Can I?
mean, with your teeth, maybe?
It's asking for teeth, but
Yeah.
Teeth. Okay,
Yeah, that's
and
why
my
I had
brain
you
was
bite
like,
it.
okay, that's okay.
It'll take a while. You'll have to be very careful.
Then essentially, I'm going to take the rock and I'm going to sit down and put it between my two front paws and just like chew on it like a bone
Yeah.
and try to like whittle it away into a spike.
So what I will say is, as Perry is forming his ideas and as Tourmaline is chewing on a rock, quite a bit of time passes.
Sure.
To the point where the sun is starting to go down.
Okay, we might have to hurry up. How is that coming? Like looks.
I think it's done.
Okay, and he like grabs it, and it's probably like a little big for him, but enough that he can still hold it and like
Yeah.
plant it as needed. Okay, well we gotta. Oh, God, they didn't give us a time limit. It wouldn't be. It's fine. It's fine. And he like sets the rock down. Okay, let's see if we can get the disc of ice. I'm gonna say what I'm thinking. I'm gonna help, but I want you to think. I'm thinking like maybe as wide as thick as my hand, and then the 2 meters across. The thicker it is, the less of a chance it is to crack when I'm standing on it or you're pushing it.
I nod at you and then get that super focused look again and look at the water and get ready to manifest this disc for Perry.
Trying to help as best I can, however that is, whatever Perry thinks. He's trying to imagine and visualize this disc.
Yeah. Roll me power, please, Tourmaline, and roll me control, please, Perry. You, because of your magically gifted tags, you succeed on 5s. So you have, for Tourmaline, that's 4 successes. And for Perry, that's 3 successes. So, you're not really sure how to help mold this power that builds inside you. It needs manifesting. You need to form it into something. You need to direct it, but you're not sure how. There are moments where your brain kind of like gets distracted or thinks about other things, and like essentially like a little spark of almost energy like discharges, and then you focus and you try and focus on water to ice, and the water starts to move and rumble a bit, like in this little area in front of you, like shake and shudder, and then you feel the power basically move and expel, and you form it, but you're not sure how exactly, and you hear like a kind of and nothing happens for a second. The water stills, and then very slowly from the depths an ice cube rises with a crocodile inside it, which is like its head is out the front and its leg and tails are out the back, and it's like slightly flailing and things like that, and then it kind of like bobs at the surface and then slowly drifts off to the side, like drifting away, as it like flails and splashes a little bit.
Do you want me to get the ice?
Yeah. Yeah. And that can be your meal after we're done, I guess.
I hop into the water and I go get this ice cube and I start pushing it over to the edge with the crocodile in it for Perry to get on.
Your large jaws like crunch around it gently, obviously, and you kind of turn around and like start paddling back towards it. The crocodile's still inside, like flailing about a little bit, and you kind of deposit it on the little island.
How big is it? If it's in a if a crocodile's inside, decent sized.
Yeah, it's around about kind of 5 foot by 3 foot kind of. It does have a crocodile inside it.
That'll work. That'll work.
What I will also say is that at this point the sun has pretty much set, and the moon is high in the sky, full.
Okay, we got enough light, I guess. Yeah.
Might be
Stomach growls.
another day till the new moon.
Okay. Well, we're gonna get up
Okay.
there before the moon goes away.
Yes. If you
Yes.
get on, I will paddle very quickly.
Quickly, but don't splash.
Oh,
Oh.
yes. I will not get you wet.
Exactly.
Are you doing this with the crocodile inside?
I don't really. I mean, I could bite its head off, I guess.
It kind of looks like. Okay, like, are you looking hungrily at it?
I think is Tourmaline like very intent on be like, we're puzzling. It's puzzle time with Perry. So like, you know, when you get like into a project and you just don't eat, and then you get done with the project and you're starving. That's kind of where.
Yeah, you probably got that
Tourmaline's
directly
at.
from Perry.
Yeah.
I'll give you 2 pieces of information. If you take the crocodile out, the ice cube will break.
Well, yeah, that's why Perry is not
Yeah.
thinking of that.
Additionally, there's a high likelihood of you getting wet riding this ice cube, unless
Because of the paddling of the flailing of the crocodile.
well,
Yeah,
and also just, you know, it's a block of ice, like it bobs up and down. You'll be on it as well with the crocodile, and if Tourmaline guides it or does it, that might count as riding for the purposes of, you know, unassisted.
Well, Perry doesn't even think about that. If Tourmaline's pushing it, he's not riding Tourmaline. So his mind, he's already gone in that route. Even if it's wrong, that's where his brain is.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Oh, yeah.
finding all the technicalities he can. That's how he does. Technicalities are correct.
That makes
He's
me
looking-
wonder if carrying is considered riding then.
Again, he doesn't.
I
The
know. I guess
technicality.
Katie, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no. Perry
Yeah.
Perry has wrote that off entirely. It's not riding, therefore he does not care.
He's in full problem-solving mode.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all technicalities. If you're technically correct, you're correct. So if they're like, you rode, no, I didn't. I was pushed. It's not riding.
Perry,
We're
gonna have to deal with the crocodile, I think.
What?
remember when I broke the tree?
Yes.
What if you paddled yourself over on the tree?
I'd
Like
have to
a
get.
boat.
I'd have to get something that wouldn't. I can't use my arms and legs because I'd be wet. I would be wet technically, even if it's just my hands.
As you're going through, just to let you know, the moon has risen, the sun is gone. It is dark. The moon does reflect and illuminate the area. So while it is nighttime, it is still bright. And I thought I saw a thought there.
No, I just know the moon means something, and I'm trying to figure out what it means.
So this is a very big and bright full moon. And, that tomorrow will be a new moon.
Okay. Maybe. Yeah, he like starts looking around like,
In this
I wonder
instance, just very quickly, could you both roll me a resolve, please?
okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Okay.
How deep is the water now that I've been in it?
So you have to paddle, and you
Okay.
didn't reach the bottom getting in. So
Okay.
it's
Big enough.
pretty deep.
Yeah.
Also, it took a bit of time for that crocodile ice cube to pop up. So.
Yeah. Thinking, okay, maybe. Why don't you go ahead and eat that if you want? And we'll make a new one closer to the surface because we went deep for that. If we go on the surface, it still could work. You could nudge me. You don't have to bite. You could just nudge me, and that way you wouldn't have to worry about splashing me.
Are you sure you want me to eat this?
Yeah, if you want to. You don't have to. It's just more if you're hungry. We were going to give you food earlier, and we didn't. I'm sorry.
I will say, because it's probably being like loud and it's splashing already, that I will just absentmindedly just eat the crocodile.
Yeah, as Perry is like down and he's scribbling and he's
Yeah.
figuring, it's just like a crunching ice cube, just like off in the distance, and
He's like
very
drawn
quickly.
a disc to like visualize it better, a little wider, potentially like a spot where like maybe it's thicker on one side just slightly so that it can be pushed.
I will also say, at this point, you hear the whoomph of wings as Avenda and Iliagar descend from the hills. A light. This is a little bit after the crocodile is all gone, and the ice is gone as well, I assume. And a light's on the island. Iliagar
hello.
steps off, and how are you proceeding?
Well, I think we're learning.
You are trying to solve your puzzle?
Yes. Oh, yes. I think we've made good progress.
You have made no progress.
What do you mean?
You are
We haven't gone over there, but we've made progress in learning what the solution is.
You have not.
No?
You are still at the same position you have been.
Well, right, but that doesn't mean you haven't solved something. You have to start in a spot and figure out the puzzle, and then once you've got it all figured out, then you execute it.
Do you?
Yes? No?
We are trying.
You are
We
trying.
have not given up.
And you should not.
Yeah. You can't solve everything instantaneously. You got to figure it out first and then go from there.
That is extremely true.
What is the dragon's name? Iliagard's dragon?
Avenda.
Perry, you should ride a vendor to the tree.
That would be an interesting solution, but I think that would be considered cheating.
Is it cheating?
Not technically, no. I'm not writing you.
It would not be cheating, but I would suggest that if you ask Avenda will say no.
I imagine that true.
A vendor, will you take Perry to the tree? Please.
Okay, yeah, that's what I expected.
The purpose of a lesson is to learn.
We are learning.
What
Right.
is the point of completing a lesson the wrong way?
That's where I disagree, though. And like Perry, like smiles, like just because you solve a puzzle not the way one person intends doesn't mean it's not solved.
Avenda leans down forward until her face is like puff of hot air just into your face.
I suggest, little Perry, that you take a moment to see what is around you, to notice those things that might be important, and stop trying to solve.
Oh, okay.
There is no time limit on this. Think about the rules you were given and figure out a way to succeed.
Okay. All right.
And Iliagar says, that was mostly what I came down here to tell you.
I thought that's what we were doing. Okay.
Kind of like plops himself down. Probably the first time he's looked probably a little dejected and lost compared to the rest of the time he's been here.
Iliagar like moves forward and like kneels down next to you, puts his hand on your shoulder and says, your ability to assault a problem and solve it is admirable, and I wish I had that quality myself. However, we are not always presented with problems we can solve through our own abilities. You have a partner with you. It is possible that a different way of thinking might alight upon an answer. Do not just attack things by yourself. Think about that, and remember, you have to put the tooth and claw on top of the tree. You may not get wet. Tourmaline may not fly. You may not ride on Tourmaline. And I do not want to see you riding on Tourmaline. He doesn't say you may not ride, he says I do not want to see you riding on Tourmaline.
Okay.
And
You may
he
leave. I think we can solve it.
gets back up onto a vendor and says, I look forward to seeing you solve the problem, Tourmaline. And the wings flap, take off, and head back to the hill to settle down up there.
Harry,
Mm-hmm.
he said that he did not want to see you riding me.
Wait, no, but you can't fly. Because I thought maybe you could put a fog up so they couldn't see, and then we'd do it. But if I rode you, that would be a lie and cheating, and you would be flying.
If you sit on my head and we make a fog cloud, we could try.
I
I like the ice disc better, but I think that's a really good idea.
I will say again, it's a power you can't really control. And additionally, you would be turning water into air, vapor, moisture. Probably get wet going through it.
But
And he looks like he looks up, looks at the moon.
what's that? Clouds. Can you make clouds block the light so they can't see? It's pitch black down here. Same idea, but not fog. Clouds.
We make it dark.
Doesn't matter if you can control it or not. Well, because you went overboard with the ice spike.
That was a bit overzealous.
No, be overzealous with the clouds.
He like keeps pointing up like,
Too much cloud. Make it not see anything.
I will try.
I'll do
And
my
just-
best too.
and he kind of like focuses in on you to just cloud, dark storm clouds.
And I will do what I did with the ice spike, except with cloud cover.
Okay. So, In this instance, we won't have a roll. It is a bit too far, and it is a bit too much power needed. What essentially happens is you do form a kind of misty, thin sheen a fair ways above you. It doesn't really form into that much, and it doesn't block the full moon.
I'm sorry, Perry.
No. That's still good. It's dimmer.
Can I, if I swim, can I use my wing to make a little suction hole?
Okay.
A whirlpool?
No. Like I don't know the best way to put it. Like a wetsuit for Perry, in the sense that my wing is gonna be all elasticy and.
In terms of keeping Perry dry, he could sit on your head as you swim, and he wouldn't get wet. The problem is those things would,
That's riding. Yeah.
The master's right up there. He will see you riding. So,
Wait. We made clouds. We did that. You sure you can't make just fog and clouds? Both. Some fog won't get me wet if we go quick enough. Or just a wall of ice? No, that's...
I don't think I can control it quite
No,
yet,
that's
Perry.
okay. That's okay.
could I put a thought in one of your heads? I feel that Perry is attacking this in like all these inventive and interesting.
That's what he's all. That's all he's gonna do. He's still learning.
So, Tourmaline.
Harry's like drawing ice walls and like to block sight and trying to figure out mist.
Essentially, this is something that I think Tourmaline would eventually come upon through her own way of thinking.
I hope someday, Perry, that I can help manipulate the world in the ways that you would like. I guess I'm not strong enough quite yet.
Oh, I'm not either. Don't blame yourself.
He's like absentmindedly writing.
The moon is so bright tonight.
Yes.
He's just like writing by moonlight without issue.
I mean, it's a full moon, so like
Yeah.
that's when it's at its brightest. After that, it's the new moon where there's like nothing.
You would see Tourmaline kind of looking around the shore. Is there anything around here besides just trees and swamp?
Just open space, swamp, and
I will start going around grabbing logs and placing them by Perry. And it looks like I'm making I'm trying to stack them nicely.
yeah.
Wait. I mean, you keep doing what you're doing. There's no time limit. Just wait till tomorrow.
I was making us a fire.
Yes. We'll wait till tomorrow. They can. But we're.
And a little puff of flame comes out, and I light the fire.
Are you hungry? Do you want me to find you a rabbit?
Oh.
He like thinks about the time that teacher Illigar had him like learn how to skin and clean a rabbit and like winces.
Maybe some vegetable. Maybe I'll go find some mushrooms.
like maybe a bead of sweat goes down his face.
But yes.
I'll curl up next to the fireplace, like try to make it like settling in, and like use my nose to kind of hollow out a little area for Perry.
Yeah, I'll go get some mushrooms and maybe some tubers and some. I wonder. The swamp. They might have some lily root. That could be nice.
And he like starts going off to try to get himself some food.
Yeah. And the night passes. You rest, cozy with your fire, and it doesn't help to have a dragon wrapped around you, kind of. Morning comes. Do you keep chatting and relaxing through the day?
Kind of looks and, you know, I know we're not going to do it, but it'd still be good to practice the ice stuff and maybe mist and things. That would be good. Just for our own edification.
Seeing as you're here.
Yeah, I mean, we have time to kill, so I would be just helping Perry and trying to manifest any sort of elemental shifts that I could.
You start to test on different things, on the water, on the wood, on stone. You're able to slowly and with time and on a very small scale to shift a section of water into a puff of vapor, steam. A small pebble of rock crumbles into lava. A little twist of air solidifies into an ice block. As time goes through, the morning becomes the afternoon, and as the sun starts to set, darkness envelops the area as the new moon probably rises, but we don't see it because the new moon has no light. The area is completely pitch black and no one can see anything.
Can you still see in the dark?
I believe dragons can see very well in the dark.
Can see in the dark.
I can see quite well.
Good. I can see okay because of, you know, my people in the mines, but not as well as you, and I'm glad you can see very well. Okay.
He like pulls his hood up over himself to like get himself to be a little darker and like, okay. And he like looks up roughly where the teacher would be.
I can't see them. I doubt he can see us.
You can vaguely see your hand if you wave it in front of your face, but anything further is just ridiculously difficult.
You'll hear me get into the water, and I'm gonna doggy paddle around and then turn around, and
My head is right by the shore.
Shh. Okay.
He said he didn't want to see. You can be as loud as you want.
Perry's still thinking.
Perry's still kind of like paranoia.
It's right by the shore, and you can't on.
We'll need to figure out a way to communicate quietly at one point. Is there dragon telepathy?
He's like starts mumbling to himself as he climbs onto your head.
There's emotional attachments and feelings and
Once
let's go.
You're just talking. I just start doggy paddling over to the tree.
He's like
keeping
mumbling
my
to
head
himself. Yeah.
out of the water, and then I'll be also trying to telepathically talk to Perry, and just seeing if like.
Do you hear me now?
And so I wonder if we can
You hear
feel
me now?
emotions or there's a
Hello,
connection
Perry.
with
I
power
am
of some kind.
Thinking thoughts to you.
And I wonder if maybe if we practice like the feeling
Perry?
together of these manifesting power.
Can you hear me,
And if-
Perry?
And if we do that, I wonder if maybe
I'm
I
thinking
could
very
impart
hard
at least emotions
To get my
or
thoughts to you, Perry.
thoughts.
And eventually, you get to the tree, as you can essentially scale up it partially, like dig your claws into it. The wood has a metallic nature to it. It's wood, but it is strong and it is hard to gain purchase. You can, but it's not like normal wood. And you lift your head and extend it up into the low branches, into the kind of medium height branches. And Perry, you can quite easily scale the last bit of the way and drape the necklace on top.
Yeah. Good job, Darlene.
We did it.
That we did. That was mostly your idea, though. So well done.
And you hear and see a bright purple flash in darkness up near the hill as a vendor blasts off a jet of purple flame.
Oh god, I think he saw us.
I think we did it, and they're coming to congratulate us
Oh.
for a job well done.
Oh, okay. I don't.
He's like still sitting at the top of the tree.
I don't. Let's not fly or ride yet. Just in case. Just in case.
That is
Just in
smart.
case.
You,
Yeah.
as you're starting to make your way back down the tree, you hear a soft sploosh in the water, and you hear Iliagar's voice say, "Sometimes, students, there are problems we are faced with that do not have an immediate answer. As valiant and admirable as your attitude to attack a problem head on to solve it immediately is good, sometimes what we require is simply patience. And a solution will present itself to us. Never put yourself in danger if patience can give you victory."
Yes, teacher. Yeah.
You
But wouldn't it have
both-
been really cool if I had been pushed out on a block of ice and then she sent me up to the top of the tree? Wouldn't that have been awesome?
What is ice, Perry?
Water and vapor, depending on its form.
And therefore, as you stood on it, you would even minutely get
Okay, yeah, you were going by
Wet.
technicalities and technically I would have lost. Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, I see.
However, we are both very proud of you. You did a very good job.
Tourmaline did a good job. I did okay.
You both did a very good job. Now, let us head home, and myself and Avenda will treat you to some dinner.
That sounds lovely.
I would like that very much. I did not have enough.
It's like probably didn't gather as much as he needed.
As both dragons doggy paddle to the island, get back up onto dry land, shake off a little bit of water, take off, and head back through the moonless night towards the nest. We will fade out there. Cassandra and Argent. We join you both in the nest a few days after the first flight. And it is during a moment where you have the place to yourself. The others have gone out on different sojourns, tasks, things like that. And it's quite nice because you have the space to yourself and also the time to read, not be interrupted. It can get quite loud, quite hectic when everyone is around and doing their different things. Therefore, I assume the time is used or utilized or taken advantage of essentially for a bit of reading up and study, most likely. So, I guess the first question would be, what you reading?
So we have been reading the bestiary before, but now we are back to herbs and herbology and gathering because we always need to refill and learn some more things.
The riders do tend to have a little bit of a storage room. Invariably though, dragon care is left to the riders, and while the masters will help, usually as time goes on, especially when you start the flying and when you start to learn how to utilize the power of your dragons, that will be when you're almost completely independent. And looking at the rest of your pod, I imagine that both Argent and Cassandra have a little bit of an inkling, maybe even have had a chat once or twice about how you will all need to be able to know what herbs to gather, what helps with certain ailments and things like that. And also the fact that at the very least two of the four of your riders,
They've already been into scrapes and causing havoc, so
yes.
yeah. We need our own supply.
And of course, Perry, while being smart, tends to divert his energy to creation, tinkering, little gadgets and things like that, as opposed to plants and herbs and things. It's good when you tell him what to get, but
sometimes gets distracted.
Mm.
So I'll get it myself.
I would imagine at this point, considering the size of Argent at the, now, you don't take the usual position of you with a book and reading, and then Argent like around your shoulders and resting on top of your head, kind of like reading over the top of you. My guess would be is that Argent mostly is kind of like extended round across the floor, and then kind of like almost hovering, I would say, above your head, like kind of reading as you're reading.
Definitely coiled somewhat, kind of like the side to side looping directly behind you. So if you were to like get out of your chair or lean back, you'd probably bump into Argent. But then yeah, the head kind of hovering up over
the top like before. Yeah.
Yep. Always reading over your shoulder.
I would
It's not distracting at all, Argent.
I would also say probably Argent, you're probably the only one who can reliably read like regular script and writing and things like that. All of the dragons, of course, can communicate and can understand at this point, but that's quite a good question. What's Argent's take on the other dragons in the pod? Because they're an interesting bunch.
Oh goodness. Well, one of them's far too rude.
Yes.
The blue one.
Mm.
Naming just happened, so Argent hasn't quite cared to learn all the names. Argent does know Tourmaline's name. It's been said for the last several months, but there's the blue one that's rude. And then there's the red one that is just far, far too energetic. It needs to slow down.
Yeah.
It's stepped on a number of Cassandra's things, and that's just not okay.
Yeah.
Tourmaline's fine. They don't bother anyone and seem well enough. Just maybe a little odd and quiet.
Yeah. A little bit too
Passive,
Yeah.
placated.
Yes. Okay.
They're fine though. We can get along. Just rather sit and read.
So, as you're looking through the book, you're essentially going through it's mostly things that you've seen before and things that you've learned, but it's good to refresh. Cure for hiccups, sore throats, these type of things. The one bit that sticks out to you, given the current circumstances, I would say would probably be the proper care of scales and probably also the cure, not cure, but the treatment for a sore, let's call it a sore throat, through excessive or, you know, uncareful fire breathing. But essentially, while dragons are magical beings, they do also suffer from wind erosion, because the most of them, it's not actually a problem as much for Argent because he doesn't fly the same way, but you know, if you're up there flying all the time, your scales get a bit dull and all that type of thing. And if a dragon isn't careful about how much they breathe fire, or if they do it a little bit too enthusiastically, or, you know, it's a bit like shouting. Eventually your throat gets sore and a little bit scratchy. In those instances, as the book says, it is, well, there's a few different ways.
There's a few options.
Yeah.
But we do need some honey, and we do need some more animal fat for those. So that's going to be fun.
Do we need ginger root? Looking at sore throat remedies?
I think we have some still in the stores, but honey would be good. I think people keep having it in their tea.
I did see Perry drinking tea with honey. He says it's a good sweetener.
Sweetener? That's
He
not
likes
what it's
his
for.
tea not bitter. I don't know. I know you don't drink it that way. It was odd.
It's wasteful. Go get some. Okay. That's fine. I'm gonna kind of look around and, like, obviously no one's here, but I'm thinking there's no one here to go and get this thing for me.
Well, one of the problems you've run into is that when the dragons were smaller, especially, there would tend to be leftovers from when Rithera Ultra went hunting. As the dragons have got bigger, they do have a tendency to consume the entire food.
Gulp it whole.
Gulp it whole.
Which
and-
doesn't leave much for me to
Yeah.
scavenge.
You were treated to a short, but maybe interesting chat with Tourmaline, like yesterday, about how she ate a whole crocodile. So,
Yeah.
I think up until this point, you've probably been gathering what's needed when it's needed. As things go forward, and both of you are fairly forward-thinking and intricately planning, it's possible, I would imagine, that you think it could be a good idea to have your own stores of things, so that A, you don't have to rely on what happens to be around in the in Harrowhold, and also here's an interesting question, specifically for Cassandra, but I think it would pertain to Argent as well. When you're thinking about helping, is it still contained to your pod, your training pod, and Iliagar, or is
Yeah.
it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like that's a stretch. That's still like us first,
Yeah.
and then. Oh
And-
yes, yeah. The whole we're a group thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say as well, like, it's not like other pods come to you seeking aid or help or things like that, you know, kind of like, Cassandra, please, help, my dragon has a sore throat, kind of thing. So, hey, if you make a name for yourself as a dragon wizard herbalist type healer, then who knows what happens in the future, but currently it isn't that way.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going out and like offering assistance. It's just not. It's not even occurred to me.
Yeah.
To do that, it's like.
Okay.
We'll get sorted. We'll get prepared. That's all we have to worry about.
Right. The only other thing I think would be something to ask would be, how is Cassandra doing with her training? Like, is she been okay with the fact that she has a teacher who's a little subservient, weirdly?
It's frustrating because, as we touched on, the teacher, she doesn't challenge me enough.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want me to get injured, or she doesn't want word getting back.
Mm.
But then I'm not challenged enough to learn properly.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating, but I've tried to speak to her about it.
Mm.
Just kind of ends up being the same thing by the end of the session again.
Yeah. I'd say maybe there's been a little bit of progress, but habits are hard to get out of, even for bastards sometimes. Alright. In that case, the thing to gather, or the thing that Cassandra and Argent currently thinking about discussing getting would be animal fat, also oils, mostly essentially a byproduct of animal fat or gained in other ways. From what you can read in the text, generally the animal fat, the animal extraction oils would be the best. However, there are ways to get oils that aren't just, from animal fat, but they're less effective. So, secondary
takes a lot more.
possibilities.
A lot of bulk, doesn't it? So.
Yeah. And then obviously the honey. One thing I will say is, currently and so far, I don't think that you've had any hives or places to gather honey pointed out to you. And you haven't found any yet, so.
Where did Perry get the honey from?
Stores.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Perry's used the honey, so Perry's gonna get told to replace the honey.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Just so we know.
You realize that when that happens, Perry and Tourmaline are gonna come back absolutely bulging with stings and stuff.
Well, they shouldn't. They'll think about that next time they have tea as a sweetener, honey as a sweetener.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm gonna be just kind of having looked around, just slam the book a little bit. I think we're going to have to do it ourselves.
go hunting?
Yeah, I mean, it can't be that difficult, right? I mean, they do it all the time, and
We have little practice, but we could try.
I think we'll be good at it. You know, we've read enough.
That is true.
It's just moving from theoretical to practical. So,
Yes.
right, okay.
Where should we hunt? What are we hunting? How many do we want?
I'm just gonna like peek in the book again, like, okay. So I mean, there was the wild pigs, I think, to the north. Like there's like
In-
maps and stuff around, I imagine, that I'm like trying to reference.
The forest by the river.
Yeah. So we already know where they are, and then if we start out with one or two, because then you can eat one, and then I can use one for the oils and the fat and the, I guess Mithara could use the skin.
The hide.
Yes. So I mean,
Are we
use the
wanting
whole
to
thing.
carry it back or process it there?
And Argent kind of like looks at their own claws and starts kind of trying to think if they're going to be able to carry a boar back or not.
The flight you did the first time, and also you've probably done one or two like mini test flights and that type of, getting used to it, that type of thing. It's not too bad, the weight. Not that Cassandra particularly weighs a whole load comparative to your size and everything, but you think you could, yeah, a few boars, pigs on your back wouldn't really, you wouldn't be able to do tight zigzagging in the air and like be amazingly mobile, but at the same time it shouldn't overly weigh you down or slow you down or anything either.
Good to know.
Yeah, if we bring it back, although we'll probably need to work through it before the others arrive, knowing how hungry they get. Yeah, we'll start with 2. I think that's
Okay.
a good idea.
That is
You know,
wise.
Manageable. And then if we overachieve, we overachieve.
Good. Yes. Would you like to go now?
Yeah, I think it would be, I don't know what time it is. Let's get to it.
What supplies do we need? You have a knife?
And I'll just start pottering around, like I'll grab the stave, and I imagine I've got like a little gathering kit by this point, so that will have sort of little snips and knife, but nothing like a butcher's knife. I'll hold it up to show it to Argent, like, perhaps we should- maybe. Well,
I
bring
can
it
kill
back
the
and-
animal. It's not an issue of that. Just more if there is anything delicate needed to be dealt with. I have difficulty still.
And kind of like claws a little bit, like not as dexterous as they would like it at the moment.
No, it shouldn't be too.
Leather straps to secure the boar on the way back.
Yes, right. And I'm just sort of piling all this in like a little satchel and getting that thrown over, and I'm like, okay. And do we think it'll rain? It's like peering out the.
Appears to be a reasonably clear day. The clouds are more light white than the dark rain cloud types. So unlikely, but possible. depends on how far you travel as well.
Cloak or no, Argent? What do you
Better to
think?
be prepared.
That's true. I'm gonna get my cloak as well. Just like, that's true, yeah. So I've got like the herbalism gathering kit. I've got my stave. I've got my cloak. I've got like a little satchel, leather straps to go on the saddle that I imagine we've got by this point. And I'll just kind of start tacking you up. Like,
That's good. I don't know if it's only been a couple of days. I don't think Perry has made. He's probably working on.
oh, it's just a few days. Okay.
Working on the
Yeah.
saddles,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, you might even see like some of the specifications you wanted for your saddle, like on his bench.
Yeah. Okay, so it's all just like over my shoulder at this point, or in my
Yeah.
satchel bags.
Yeah.
So okay.
You have to do either travel light or do a little bit of carrying of things.
That's fine. And I'm gonna have to hold on as well. So the stave. I might have to leave this for now.
I think that is okay.
You'll be fine. I think you'll do great.
I will be fine. I worry for you if you need to defend yourself in a bad situation.
I'll bring the stave. And
You have a
just gonna
strap for your back with it?
Oh. She'd forgotten that. And I'm just like, oh yeah, I do have that. It's not something you just like carry around a weapon all the time. Not Cassandra anyway. So it's like, oh yes, normally other people would carry these things.
I think Argent's kind of used to this, like the over preparedness,
Yeah.
and
Well, normally,
might
yeah, I
think
can-
it's normal. So it's like, oh, you need all these things. So Argent
Need
is
my
usually
cloak.
suggesting way more than you ever need.
And you know, I'm used to it being carried in the carriage or by porters. So I'm like, yeah, of course I need all these things with me. Like, what if I lose a shoe?
And when it's kind of like when it comes time to do something, when you haven't kind of like done a whole load of preparation, Cassandra's tends to not panic, but just kind of be a little, be a little bit overwhelmed with.
Well, perhaps Rithera won't be too angry if I borrow her knife kit.
Have you borrowed it before?
Well, no, but I've used it before with when she's been here.
Perhaps leave a note.
Can she read?
I don't know. Maybe? She has
Perhaps-
looked at your books before, but not opened them.
Perhaps I should do drawing as well. Well, Perry will tell her.
Very likely. He speaks a lot.
And I'm gonna just leave the little note saying Rithera, like very sort of dramatic flair writing, obviously.
Calligraphy almost.
I regret to inform you I've borrowed your knife set for our quest of the day. I anticipate returning hence with whatever this whole like
just
flowery,
a very kind
very
of like
flowery
official letter that you'd send in like cursive, like flowery cursive. And what I will say is Rithera can read. Everyone
Right.
in the pod,
Yeah.
you know, and obviously like I will also add, I doubt anyone else in the pod can read Cassandra's handwriting, aside from maybe Argent. And I think even Argent, not telling you, but probably struggles a bit to decipher the.
Oh, he'll learn.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave that like where her knife kit was. And I'll like just sort of brush down around it so it's very clearly very neat. And yeah, I think we will set off.
Okay. And very different from the other dragon riders, you prepare to fly and to head out, basically head down towards this river area where you've heard there are wild pigs and boars and whatnot. Argent doesn't need a kickoff. Argent can take off from just a very stationary position, no kind of like pushing off with his legs or anything like that. Just basically almost like an angry eel at the bottom of a river or the sea, just suddenly can go up and start. There's a little bit of
Making.
wiggling, snaking needed, but once you're up and going, it's all plain sailing, for want of a better word. And again, like, as you do take off and as you do kind of snake into the air, there's no real wind. You know, it's you see Rithera, you see Ultra, when they come back, their hair's like all over the place after a flight. Sticky up and messy. There's probably like, bits of twig in it and stuff, because sometimes their dragons drive them through a tree. But that is not a problem you have.
Mm-hmm.
And you, not quickly, because Argent isn't fast. Very agile, very maneuverable. He doesn't zip like that blue one does.
Mm-hmm.
But you head off towards the river, searching for signs from above of, I would imagine, boar trails, or even a sign of them. You can fly quite high if you want, because that means you're essentially, if you spot them, you won't disturb them, they won't immediately run.
Mm-hmm.
And as you move, you keep your eye out, you manage to intersect with the river and then start following it down and searching along along the ground, seeing if you can find it. After a short time drifting down the river, well, above the river in the air, not on the actual river itself, you locate a group, what looks like a herd of wild boar, essentially traveling a little ways away from the river, but towards it, presumably to drink at it or something.
You see them?
Yes, I see them. How do we want to approach this?
Right, yes, there's the getting. So we could chase them until they're tired. We could chase them into the river. And then they could drown. And then we can't get them.
What if I could set you down up the river for you to watch, and I could swim and pull one into the river?
Oh, yeah, like the crocodile that was eaten
Yes.
yesterday. Yes.
That could work.
Okay. Yes,
Hmm.
let's.
Would you like me to try that?
I think let's try.
So then I would try to set us down a little bit upwind of the boar.
Yeah. And you can essentially set Cassandra down in let's call it an observation branch on a tree. And then you, being upwind of them with the river in front of you, you kind of like almost curl down the tree and then like into the underbrush. And Cassandra, you can see this goes from a very floaty, kind of weirdly noble almost. It's you know what I mean, that kind of like very majestic flying to this very kind of sinister snake-like creepy slithering.
Yeah.
As
That should grab someone out like a crocodile. It's a bit.
yeah,
Not
as
what
you
I'm used
see
to.
a little bit of rustling in the bushes, and then you can see Argent like head dip and into the river, kind of fighting against the current a little bit. This is harder, by the way, Argent, for you, because obviously the river pushes against you. You have to kind of maintain, but you do slip into the river, kind of down closer to the bottom, and essentially anchor your back end, the tail end, with your back legs onto a rock. Just kind of like wrap around it and wait. And not very long for you to wait, probably like 5 minutes or so. Luckily for you, you can't breathe underwater, not per se, but you can hold your breath and exist underwater for quite a long time. I'd say probably anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour at least. Part of the reason for that is you have a weaker flame because the Longrons evolved with essentially a higher lung capacity, so they don't store as much flame. Their flame sac isn't as strong, isn't as large as the other dragons. But none of the other dragons can swim in the water, so screw them. So yeah, a good 5 minutes or so, nothing where you're even slightly worried about running out of air, and the boar slowly come out of the bushes of the undergrowth, make their way to the river and start to dip their heads in to drink and all that type of thing. You've got, you know, some big males. There's a big group of probably about 15 to 20 of them eventually, all drinking, and occasionally one looks up and looking around for predators or anything like that.
So Argent is now thinking probably a lot like you would see the boars kind of go up, and I don't know, Cassandra, would you imagine Argent to immediately snap the moment they're there, or like wait a while?
I mean, we're not in a huge rush, and we are quite patient, so I think.
He has been hanging around Cassandra a lot, and Cassandra likes to make sure everything is prepared before doing a thing. So I would say it makes sense for.
Yeah, you're your own dragon.
I know. Oh yeah, no, it's more the like what expectations would have been there, and whether or not
I think
Argent would have
Cassandra
met them.
Wait for the optimal.
Yeah, and that's what Argent would be doing, and so it's more, would you start panicking if it was like getting close? Like, how long can Argent stay underwater?
I'm like a tree, so I'm not having the best of times.
So Argent is thinking two separate things. Either one, just kind of going out like a croc and pulling one in, or doing that while simultaneously trying to grab one with his tail, because we need two. And it'd be, in Argent's mind, the tactician here learned from Cassandra is, we'll get both, because then we don't have to do more work. It's better if we get it done now, instead of having to grab one, they'll run and then chase them down. So, will it work? Not sure.
The way Argent hunts when he goes out to hunt is majorly constrictive, much like a snake.
Yeah.
He does use his jaws and can, especially on smaller prey, because, you know, it's just easier. However, something that could work is if Argent was to use the rock as a ballast to essentially propel him forward and shoot out, but maintain as an anchor, because he's very long. He'd be able to, if you want to grab two, you could essentially use that propulsion to wrap around the head of one and then jaw lock into another and then pull them both underwater, and essentially mix of constriction and drowning would
Yeah, kind of
work
the whole snake like snap and pull kind of idea. Yeah. If that, so then that's Argent's thinking like, could I like grab with tail on that? No, I'd have to let go of my anchor. Okay, I could probably do a quick like wrap around the biggest boar and then grab and bite one of the smaller ones and pull them both in. And so Argent's watching like snout size go into the water to drink.
Yeah.
And like judging which one would be the best to grab first. And then the moment the opportunity arises, Argent would lash out.
Please roll me your martial, which is 4d10. And just let me double check your tags.
Constrictor tag is
You
there.
have an aquatic tag as well.
Yes.
Since you are striking from water, and since you are constrictor, both of those tags would apply, which means that you're rolling at a 4+ success gate.
Okay. Alrighty. 40-10. That is 4 successes then.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the bunched muscles, and then you shoot out of the water. Immediately, just use your control of wind and your innate flying abilities to essentially propel yourself with the wraparound on the first one, and then use that as kind of like almost like orbiting a planet. You know, you slingshot around the head of the boar, and then your fangs come down on another one, like around the neck, around the haunches, and just at the same time you constrict back in. And before even the boars have a chance to react, they're both dragged in, and the rest of them, there's like maybe like a second of the fuck, and then just all of them panicking, they're splashing and all of that type of thing. And yeah, you are back down in the water, and holding them down, it takes not long at all.
I like 100% gasped
Yeah.
and like nearly fell out of the tree when that happened.
Yeah,
because just how quick and
there was, and I would say like you've probably been out hunting with Argent before, kind of. It was always very simplistic, and it was always much more of a kind of like, you could see him. He's stealthy, but he's kind of going through, and then he'll grab and he'll be done pretty much. This was bigger and more impressive, and also just out of nowhere. You know, it's
Yeah,
tense and waiting and
waiting around for a while and got used to the quiet.
until eventually Argent comes out of the water, kind of floats up, has 2 boars.
I did it.
You did it. Can you help me down?
Oh, yes, sorry.
and Argent floats back down, sets the boars down, like, because it was probably like still constricted around the large one, and like maybe had clawed the smaller one, like, and was kind of holding it up like with the little arms, and just sets them down, and then comes back up to get you, and then brings you down to the boars.
You got both of them.
I did.
Well, that was efficient.
Yes, that was the plan. I waited and was patient until the right moment.
That's perfect. That's exactly what we. Brilliant. And I'm just like looking at these boar, like, okay, now what?
I'd like to eat this one.
Like points to the smaller one that has like very clear like fang marks in the jugular.
Oh no, of course. I mean, that was a lot of. Do you want the larger one?
No, I don't think it would fit easily, and that one would have more fat and oil.
Well, yes, but you worked. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
And Argent just
I will say, probably better to wait until you get back before you eat, because otherwise you'll be flying on a full and slightly bulgy stomach.
which has happened many times before, and Argent
Okay.
absolutely is already like going toward.
Yeah.
Remember last time though, and you were running a little low in the sky.
Oh. Okay,
Perhaps
will
we
wait.
should wait.
I will wait. Yes.
And then any spare bits from this one you can have.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Would
Right.
you mind putting them on my back?
Yeah. I'm like trying to lift this boar up, like yeah.
Yeah, I would say there's a little bit of struggling and a little bit of awkward kind of positioning and stuff. Eventually gets sorted.
Like slides off one side at some point. Like oh my god. It probably takes longer to do this than it was to catch them. Right, I think they're on. Do you feel?
They feel secure enough.
Perhaps I didn't need my cloak. It's a bit warm.
You could sit upon it.
Well, we're setting off now.
Okay, let's go.
And you head off back to the nest and alight back down outside the nest with two boars. Essentially, Cassandra, you hop off and drag/carry the bigger one inside.
Yeah.
Leaving the other one for Argent. You do hear a little bit of like. I'm not sure how to describe a lungron eating a reasonably large wild boar. It is similar to a snake eating something. Yeah. There's
a lot of
stretching,
crunching.
It's
It's
crunching
There's some
and
Opening of jaw and
yeah.
I mean,
swallowing.
I've been around the other dragons, which are just
Yes.
messy and noisy.
They are
and like,
so much messier
this
and
is-
noisier. Yeah.
so much better.
It's neat. That's true.
It's all gone. It's like, it's fine.
It can, especially when Argent was younger and smaller, it could be very off-putting to walk outside and to see what essentially amounts to like hooves and legs and stuff, kind of poking slightly. It's not as much of a problem anymore, but
Yeah, just kind of can dip depending on how gorged he is. So yeah, I've dragged this boar inside, and I'm like, I cannot lift it onto the table.
Yeah.
It's too much. So I'm just gonna.
once Argent is done, he would come in and potentially even like help, like nose or grab and kind of push up a little bit to get onto the table for you.
you can definitely help with that. Yeah.
And after at some point, I'm just sat on the floor like, and now I have the rest to do. We've done so much today.
Yeah.
Would you like me to get the hunting book that you were reading?
Yes, please, Argent.
Okay.
And Argent kind of like slithers over a little slower than before and grabs the book on hunting and skinning and
Respectfully as well.
oh yes, it's very
a
much
book.
like delicate claws, like to grab.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. And
Begins to like actually like flip through a little bit of the book to the skinning page.
And
this is how you remove the hide.
Yeah, well,
Oh, we need to bleed it first.
brilliant. Yay.
so, Cassandra, you have your knives in front of you. There's a little metallic shing.
Oh, they're not my knives.
Well, yeah, true. There's a little metallic kind of shing as you wield one.
Argent has slithered over and grabbed one of the metal pans that Perry has given Thera for bleeding animals.
We are going to use the whole thing.
Yes, waste not.
Okay. And
As
I'm gonna.
Cassandra starts to move towards the boar.